Crazy. Hey, welcome back to the All 22. I'm your co-host, Big Fred Football. I don't know where that name came from, but it's here alongside my
I need me a nickname.
co-host.
I need a nickname.
But you actual coach, Coach Kelly,
I
though.
mean, give
So
me. You're right.
I
We'll
guess it
keep it
works.
like that.
Yeah, you actual coach. People call everybody coach. So my high school
True,
football coach is called everybody coach. And then we thought it was weird then. And then now I call everybody coach. And so I get it now as an
bro.
adult.
It's tough. Like when you're in that space saying coach. I talk to an AD. Sometimes if I talk to a teacher, I'm just like, oh, it's just second nature.
I do everybody like that now. And I don't
I have to
even,
catch myself.
I'm like, hey, whatever. You just go be a coach. We all teaching in some capacity.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, welcome back. This week's episode, we talking about the 2027 NFL draft because we wouldn't be a proper football show if we're not already looking towards next year's draft. So we'll dive into that a little bit. I've got a top 10 mock on here only. Then you can read the rest over at our Substack, the all22.substack.com. So do a little bit of that. And then Hall or Naw, we're going to play a game called Hall or Naw. We got a few names up here of guys who are fringe Hall of Fame candidates. I think some of these should not be fringe, but we'll get into that.
Some of them, yeah.
We'll play a little game there, and then we'll go over to college football and do the same with the game of Would You Rather. There are some programs in really good positions, also some in peculiar positions, and then some that need to get over the hump. And so given their conference affiliation, head coach, recent results, all that good stuff, play a little game of Would You Rather. That's what you can expect on today's episode of the All 22. Like, subscribe, share, give us 5 stars. If you don't,
You
what
know
you are. Big face hater. All right, 2027 NFL draft. We say this every single year, or at least every other year.
every year.
Oh, wait till next year. This crop of guys is going to be special and different and so on and so forth. However, every now and then, maybe once a decade when we say that, right?
Yeah.
It is actually the case. And I think 2027, look, I'm not going out here and saying it's 1983 or 2011. Those type of draft classes are incredibly hard to come by. But this one is looking pretty special. Not just because, right? We said anybody who sort of had these conversations this time last year talked ad nauseum about sort of how impressive, the quarterback class for this coming year was going to be. And that didn't end up panning out. I think you could say the same thing about next year in terms of quarterbacks. However, this class looks incredibly deep, mostly to me, because of the mixture of potential elite quarterback prospects with a bevy of just dudes who do not play quarterback on both sides of the ball, who are going to be presumably coming out next year. Your first glance at this 2027 class, what comes to your mind? What stands out?
Obviously the allure of the Manning. What's crazy, man, I'm gonna go back to his high school years. It would show the highlights, and I'm like, bro, it was like he's playing against middle school guys.
It did,
Like
yeah.
I didn't see it. And I'm like, okay, what if he played in 7A Georgia, 6A Florida, or however many A's they have in Texas? What would it be like? And we're talking about a prospect. You got to look at the talent, arm talent, accuracy, intangibles as far as quarterback. And from what I saw, and I only watch clips because that's all when ESPN would show, it would be clips. I'm like, bro, it doesn't impress me because he's not playing against anybody.
Yeah.
And going in is okay. He's going to go to Texas. I think if he goes to any other school, maybe not Georgia, because Kirby Smart, he's not playing that either. He's going to play who he trusts. But he probably would have started as a freshman. And I know there's a lot of debate with Quinn Ewers, and I'm like, yeah, you can't beat out Quinn Ewers. I don't know if you're really that good. To me, like I'm thinking as a football guy, like you're not beating out a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
Because that's what he became. And then he struggled early. I'm not just talking about Ohio State because Ohio State had really good defense. But he never really wowed me, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Late, he kind of came on, had some better games. If we're looking at who he beat, you got to question that. Obviously, that's a team effort and all of that. But the to me, the jury's still out. Like, I have to see this year, and I'm not going to. It's not just talent alone, because at some point you have to win some games. You have to
Mhm.
beat the elite teams. If I'm saying he very may well be more talented than Fernando Mendoza, but Mendoza showed it.
Yeah.
He won 16 games, and he beat some pretty good programs.
He beat a
So it's
lot of
kind
guys
of
that were
like
drafted. Yeah.
exactly, he married both together. Okay, I'm gonna show you my talent, and I'm gonna win some pretty meaningful games on the field. Arch still has to show that. So that at first glance, that's where I'm thinking. With Dante Moore, I'm glad he went back to school. That the
C
last
You can't go
games
out
put a
like that.
bad
You can't go
put a
out like
bad
that.
taste. Now coming out of high school, obviously talented. UCLA probably want to stay close to home, but I'm
Yeah.
glad he moved away because that program is just for that amount of talent. He doesn't need to be stuck there.
Yeah.
My wild cards, and I'm just talking about quarterback. Where does Julian Sayin fall? Now, I don't think he's in that tier of talent of those guys, but where does Nico? I don't like butchering people's names, but he out there in UCLA. No, so where does he fall? Where does Trinidad Chambliss fall? So it's like you have a lot of guys who I think this draft Bowles is more unique than the 2026 draft because it's like, all right, Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson. That's all you were thinking about as far as quarterback.
That's it.
Now you have 5, 6, 7 names where you like they're in the mix. Mensa
Yeah.
that just went to Miami, like play well at Duke. Like now we're like, man, I'm not saying all of them deserve to be first rounders, deserve to be top 10 picks, but you have a lot more guys, a lot more household names that are in the mix, first round, second round. CJ Carr, high on Notre Dame. What is like? We have a lot more names, so that's the first thing that stands out to me.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, look, I think anyone who doesn't have Arch going number 1 overall on their mock draft is just kinda trying to be contrarian for contrarian's sake. And for the many of the reasons you mentioned, I don't think Arch is anywhere near the best player right now in next year's class. Arch isn't even the best quarterback to me in next year's class. But if you're picking number 1 next year, whenever you're
It's kind
picking
of
number 1, it
yeah,
means you need a quarterback. And if there's a Manning to be take you take the Manning because yeah, folks wanna win games but this is also a business, and
want
if
to
you
sell
can be
tickets.
you gotta sell tickets, and if you can become a part of, like, the Manning sort of family and universe in which you can take advantage of sort of Peyton and Eli and have ESPN on your side and build out sort of things around your organization and your franchise to go with that, you kinda have to take that, right? And so, he's gonna be the number 1 pick regardless. I'm you probably put 2 and 2 together, and I'm sure people listening to this will probably put 2 and 2 together. I think CJ Carr is the best quarterback potentially in next year's draft, and that correlates directly to me to being so high on Notre Dame for next year. I'm gonna contend as long as I live that had they gotten to the playoff last year, they would have won the national
Yeah.
title, even beaten Indiana. And so I think like Carr's gonna have a chance going into his second year to really show that. What I do appreciate though about this coming quarterback class right now, obviously someone else can emerge, but like Arch is gonna have a chance. He started 13 games last year, 2 games the year before, right? So barring injury, he's gonna have
Yeah.
about 27, 28 starts. So we're gonna get a
That's a lot
really
better.
good idea,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, to see exactly who he is and who he expects to become at the next level, as opposed to Ty Simpson, who I think made 13 starts. I'm not drafting a guy who's made less than 20 starts
Yeah.
in the first round. I'm just not. But and I can go on and on about these quarterbacks, and I will because I want to save some of these skill guys for you because that's so rich. In my initial mock draft, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 7 quarterbacks going in the top 10, and I know people think that's crazy, but I think even people in the league, like front offices, were looking towards 2027 when they made decisions for 2026 because you'll notice like we did not have the big trades. We did not have teams trading next year's first rounder, things
Mhm.
like that. Now, granted, there might have been a belief that like, oh, there aren't players in this draft who are worthy of that. I don't know. If you think you're a piece away, you trade next year's first rounder for Caleb Downs, right? If you think you're a piece away, you might trade a second round or something like that for Alvaro Reese or Sonny
Well,
Styles.
that's why the Ravens they say, you know what, you can have that 2027 because I'm getting an all pro. They're in a
Yeah,
different position.
exactly.
They backed out of it, obviously. But if you think you're a player away,
Yeah,
that's what you trade that pick.
Exactly. And what we saw was a bunch of teams be like, we're gonna sit pat and see what we can get here because I guarantee next year is just gonna be a free for all. And I'm not saying all of these guys deserve to be top 10 picks. I'm saying that they are high level enough of quarterback prospects in a league that requires competent quarterback play for you to be successful.
Yep.
That some of the trades we're going to see in the first round next year are just going to be bonkers. And so anyway, I'll run through this, and then I definitely want us to get into some of the skill guys. How'd you get the order? I did power rankings. This is the reverse of my NFL, all season power rankings. So if your team sucks, blame them, not me. Anyway, I got the Cardinals with the first pick. That's Arch Manning, kind of straightforward there. I got Tennessee picking second, which means if they are picking this high, it means the Cam Ward experiment is over.
I was about to say, what was your thought process in that? But like you said, if they have the number 2, then Cam Ward was either injured or he was just bad.
Yeah. Either way, you got to move on.
Because listen, if Tennessee happens to be in this position, I would respect them because you drafted Cam Ward number 1 overall. Didn't have a great rookie season, obviously many factors because of that. If he was bad this season, you're like, you know what? You're on a rookie deal, brother. Let me go get somebody who I think is equally more or even slightly less talented than you, and I can just reset.
Yep.
And I still got you for 3 more years, 2 more, and you can be the backup. Or it can be a healthy competition. I respect it.
I can trade you away for a third or fourth rounder.
Because why wait another 3 years or another 2 years because they don't have to give them the 5th-year option? Why wait that long? If you believe or you don't believe, make a decision now.
There it is. And it's like, I'll talk about them in a minute, but I think this is partly like one of the calculus of a team like the Falcons, right? Like they went up and what some people think overdrafted Michael Penix at 8. I don't necessarily know if that's the case. People like, oh, he wasn't going to go that high. Well, J.J. McCarthy went 10th, right?
Literally.
I think someone was going to take someone was going to take Michael Penix.
Yes.
top 11, 12. Okay. That's just how it works. But now he's going into his 3rd season coming off an injury. They got Penix, they got Tua. They've got what I think is going to be a top 15 defense. If it doesn't work out this year, you get another bite at the apple next year of a quarterback who's on a rookie contract. And so the front office did not think that far in advance because the front office that drafted him is no longer there. So I'm not arguing that. But I am saying that like in this league, you got to keep taking bites at the apple at the quarterback position. Like you have to, and you just got to hope you hit on one at some point. Speaking of hitting on one, Cleveland, who hasn't done that, even though they're taking a lot of bites at the apple, I think they'll pick 3rd over. I got him picking 3rd overall. Dante Moore going to them, and I wouldn't, as a Ravens fan, that would scare me a little bit. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm praying. 6 and 11,
making terrible decisions. Just win, but they're never, I want to say never. They haven't been terrible.
Yeah.
Enough to pick top 5. They'll be like 6. And then the generational or the top quarterbacks that they would take are already gone. Because somebody's going to trade up to 2 or that quarterback isn't going to fall to them at 6.
What's interesting to me, I'm off
6 games.
What's interesting to me is with them, a little bit of a tangent, but let's go down it because they were 5 and 12 last year. You have 4 quarterbacks, which means you have no quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And they've been hitting on a lot of these defensive pieces. We did the draft recap. We both think they drafted incredibly well. They're going to run into a situation here probably because they also have the best defensive player in the NFL. Do you trade that? Like, they're almost too good to be in this position.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you don't have a quarterback, like, are y'all just going to say, all right, if they end up with a 12th pick next year, for example, all right, well, take the 12th overall pick, take next year's number 1, and then take a 2nd rounder in 2029, like to move up in terms of being able to get a quarterback. They're kind of in a difficult conundrum. Whereas, like, the Jets, who I have picking 4th next year, they're just bad, right? We both think they had a good draft, right? But there's not a whole lot there to look out for.
Carson, you know what they did? They got rid of those players.
They did get rid of those players. Yes.
You're in a division that you know you're not going to win this year. You're not going to win next year. Probably not in 3 years because you don't have a quarterback. Trade away your best player.
They need to
How the
trade Miles
Grizzlies
Garrett.
think? Bro, Max Crosby went for 2 firsts. Miles
That's
Garrett is
mountain.
going for 2 firsts, 2 seconds. I'm talking 2 firsts and 2 seconds. Like,
If I
you know
was the
what?
Ravens,
Like,
I'd
that's
do that in a
that's
heartbeat.
that's 4 starters. That's 4 starters right there.
And it probably nets you a loss.
And what's crazy, the team that will do that is probably like Indianapolis Colts.
An average team. Yeah.
Pre Daniel Jones injury. You saw they went and got a Sauce
Yeah.
Gardner because they thought they were like one piece away from making a run. And do I think they probably win a playoff game? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Because they were riding high, but it's going to be one of those good teams, not great teams, because great teams don't want to give up that much capital.
Yeah.
Like you won't see Baltimore, Buffalo,
Seattle,
teams like you won't
Rams.
see
Yeah.
them do that because they believe in their system.
The
And
Rams gonna give up 8 picks. They ain't giving multiple picks.
exactly. They're not doing it. So but yeah, Cleveland's in a sticky situation, man. Do you want to keep being 5, 6, maybe 7 wins?
Yeah.
Or do you just want to trade your best player away? So you're probably gonna lose enough games because that guy has a big impact on the game.
It's too
Now you're gonna
disruptive.
lose more games. Now you have a
Yeah.
top 3 pick.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I got them picking 3rd next year, but I think even that's honestly underrating them because they keep drafting well. They keep producing players. And like I said, they were 5-12 last year and ended up losing some close ones there. 4, I got the Jets, and I got Drew Metzmaker from Oklahoma State here, transfer from North Texas. He came on really well last year, and I think being able to keep that, the coaching staff and sort of keep that synergy going over to Oklahoma State is good. We'll talk about this a little bit more, but I think Oklahoma State's a sneaky team in the Big 12 as well. I don't think they go out here and compete necessarily to win the Big 12 or for a playoff spot, but
Yeah.
hey, quarterback and head coach, you're starting to see it in college football as well. You got those 2 things, you can make some things happen. Raiders at 5, Jeremiah Smith. We'll talk a little bit more about him and some of the other guys as well. And then I'll just run out the top 10 real quick. I got the Dolphins picking 6, Darian Mensah. I think that's who they'll get there. Transferred over from Duke, went to Miami. So the Hurricanes are going to be back in the splash this year. Giants at 7, Leonard Moore, cornerback from Notre Dame. I got the Colts at 8. I just don't believe in Daniel Jones coming off an Achilles. And I got them taking Dylan Stewart. Brendan Sorsby, which may take off because I'm not exactly sure if he's actually going to play football this year. Although I would imagine, there's just a lot to figure out there. I don't know if the NFL actually cares about a guy gambling.
I was just about to say, they do not care, bro.
Especially not a coach leaguer.
If he doesn't play this year, he's not going first round, but he will probably get drafted still.
Yeah.
Supplemental draft or something like that. But yeah, like they don't care.
They don't care. And my bad, pick 8 was actually the Jets, my bad, who have taken Dylan Stewart, who had the Colts first round pick this coming year from the Sauce Gardner trade. And I got the Falcons picking 10, and there I got them taking Jaden Maeva, quarterback from USC, which it's a lot of quarterback activity. But I think the best players in this draft, aside from Jeremiah Smith, are guys who won't end up going in the top 10 just because they're not quarterbacks, and it looks like it's going to be a quarterback-rich year, which means it's going to be a great year to need a tackle or a defensive end. I refuse to say edge. I don't know when that got normalized, and I'm not doing it. They are defensive ends. Edge. Y'all get on my nerves. Who started that nonsense?
They call them edge because you can't play a middle linebacker the same as a guy who's just rushing the ball, rushing the pass. That's the only reason. That's the only reason, because you say, hey, I am an outside linebacker. I'm not a defensive end. So it was all money.
All about the money.
And Myles Garrett is a defensive end, but they still call him an edge. Now, if you go back, Lawrence Taylor was not a defensive end. He was an outside linebacker who primarily rushed the ball.
Yeah.
So the edge, like I get it. It's a money thing, but there are two different types of players.
Yeah.
Like a 3-4 or a 4-3 edge is complete. I'm sorry, 3-4 edge, completely different. 3-4 defensive end is not he's just setting the edge, not really rushing the passer.
That's real.
That's completely different. But to your point, I get it.
I hate it. I'm still gonna call him defensive end. Who are some of your most exciting or guys you're looking forward to the most, especially in this huge crop of I mean, there are, I think, elite level tackles, that are prospects as far in this draft, elite level edge rushers. Yeah, I think Leonard Moore is probably one of the best cornerback prospects we've seen in some time. I'm really excited about this draft, man. Who are some of your top guys that you're looking forward to sort of seeing this coming fall?
Definitely Leonard Moore. I don't want to say he's my top guy, but obviously DB. I'm a DB guy. One of my favorite. True. He's a your true boundary, and everybody say they're a lockdown corner. But if you're getting picked in the top 10, if you're projected to be picked in the top 10, possibly top 5, like you're a lockdown corner.
Yeah, man.
So I think he's gonna have a long career in the NFL. Dylan Stewart might be like if we had I can't remember who used to do this, but it used to be who runs the Senior Bowl? The guy. Is it Phil Yates?
Maybe not. I don't
Oh,
know.
I can't remember who does the Senior Bowl, but he has every year he does like is the freakish athlete of the Senior Bowl or the
I
senior
think that is.
whatever. But Dylan Stewart would be number one.
Yeah, man. That
Like
guy's
he
different.
is who people thought Clowney was. Clowney was it was a freak of nature as far as talent, combine, and all that. Dylan Stewart is a better athlete than Jadeveon Clowney was when he was at South Carolina.
Which is crazy to
Clowney
say.
was a little bit bigger, but not. I think Clowney came out. He was maybe 240, 250. I think Dylan Stewart's frame is a little bit lighter, but bro, to get off, I think I mentioned last show. He doesn't remind me of Will Anderson, but I've seen Will Anderson's clips of him beating the tackle with speed. That lateral twitchy movement reminds me of Will Anderson. Will Anderson has, I won't say a lot more, but a little bit more power than Dylan Stewart. So he'll have to get stronger. But as far as athleticism, that guy's a freak. Freak. Colin Simmons. So it's going to be
Man.
I know around I want to say around this time, but leading up to the draft and the combine is going to be a conversation. Do we want Colin Simmons? Do we want Dylan Stewart? Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the guy with, a little bit more, Colin Simmons is a little bit bigger than Dylan Stewart, but what do you prefer? Do you prefer the talent and the potential, that freak of nature, or do you, kind of not a finished product, but more of a finished product? So
Mhm.
that's going to be a conversation, and that's just the defensive guys. I haven't talked about Jeremiah Smith and Cam Coleman. People sleeping on Cam Coleman.
Beast.
Maybe a hot take. Cam Coleman is equally or better prospect than Jeremiah Smith.
I don't
He
think that's a
never.
hot take.
I think you not with you because football, but he hasn't had a quarterback.
Oh, he about to ball out this year.
Like, bro, like he might be the reason Orange goes number one. I was happy he got away from Auburn because you need a quarterback. You need to show the nation who you are.
Hey,
I
man.
knew at freshman because of the type of catches he was making, and he reminds me of the
I was
catch radius and stuff. What were you about to say?
I was about to say, I'll say it.
Who?
Julio Jones.
He reminds me more of Julio Jones than Jeremiah Smith
Oh, 100%.
because people are just looking at Jeremiah Smith's size. Just watch the tape. He doesn't. Not trying to be disrespectful. He doesn't separate as much as we like to think.
Yeah.
His route running is not very polished.
That needs work.
It does. He
Yeah.
doesn't get off press well. A lot of teams don't press him because you got to go against a dude. You go against Leonard Moore, you're gonna have to get off a press.
Yeah.
Like if you're just playing off coverage and zone coverage, he'll be able to find those soft spots and things like that. Cam Coleman reminds me of Julio more than Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a debate who is the top receiver. And if Cam Coleman goes first, I'm not mad at it. Are we talking about generational prospect? Yes, I'm not. Jeremiah Smith would be very good, but he's not polished yet.
Yeah.
Cam Coleman does do the same things well, man. So skill guys, man. I know linemen, that offensive line is your thing, so I kind of saved it for you
Yeah, man.
already. That's why I didn't even speak on them.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a lot of good. It's gonna be a lot of good debates about who's number one at each position. The quarterback one is gonna be up there. And like I said, I mean, even right now, I think there's already sort of Arch Manning or Dante Moore. Like I said, I think CJ Carr will legitimately throw himself in the framework. I think a decent year from Darian Mensah would throw him into the framework. Jaden Maeva would throw himself into the framework. So the quarterback debate is going to be crazy. But like you mentioned, Colin Simmons and Dylan Stewart, that's going to be one. We didn't even get to Matayo Uyunglele, who's also, pass rusher out there in Oregon. He might spark himself into the conversation. David Stone at Oklahoma is obviously defensive tackle, a little bit more interior pressure. But as we talked about in that last show, I think teams, and I don't know if you saw that clip with Eric DeCosta, I'm sure you did, about them sort of realizing how important interior offensive
Yeah,
linemen
yeah.
are. And as soon as you get a general manager saying, yeah, guard center is almost, if not just as important as tackle, then you know what's next, right? Is there's going to be sort of teams are going to start valuing interior pressure and defensive tackles again at that framework again. You know me, man. I love my offensive lineman, though. And Trevor Gooseby over at Texas, I think it's
What do
going
you
to be.
think about
Huh?
Jordan Seaton? What do you think about him?
I like him. I
I
mean,
think he's too. I think he's too highly regarded. I wouldn't say highly regarded. I think they're going off potential right now more than the actual
yes.
production on the field,
Yes. Yes. I
and that's
wouldn't put
fine for
him
now. But
I wouldn't put him in the framework of, and I'll put you this way, right? He was also at a place that's a little chaotic. And so
true,
we'll
yeah.
get a chance this year in a real offensive system with I'm not gonna let me not I don't want to disrespect my mans like that. Let me not look, Colorado, LSU are two completely different places.
It not you don't have to say real offensive system, just a better program.
There it is. There it
Like
is.
historically, LSU is a better program,
Yes.
and you have more talent around you. You have more resources. We're not talking about head coach for head coach, which obviously Lane Kiffin has done more than Coach Prime, bigger sample size. But as far as wins on the field, but you just LSU can be chaotic, but the talent is going to be way much better than Colorado.
Anywhere Lane Kiffin goes is chaotic.
Exactly,
He is the
exactly.
epitome of drama queen.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
But it's like a controlled chaos
I kinda
because
like it. I mean, I can't stand him. Don't get me
I do.
wrong. We've talked about this. I can't
Yeah,
stand Lane Kiffin.
yeah,
If
yeah.
if you're new to the show, let me be clear. I hate Lane Kiffin's guts, and I don't even know. However, it's great for college football. I love the entertainment.
Yeah,
Keep doing your
yeah.
thing, Lane. I love it. So it is definitely potential. I wanna see more from him. Most importantly, I wanna see him in Death Valley on a Saturday night against Bama. I wanna see him
Exactly.
when they play Ole Miss, for
Yep.
example, right? After he done been called the N-word a few times walking through or wherever, you know?
For real. No, you're right though. Like that's
Like
and I think it was a great thing for him to go to a superior conference.
exactly.
Night in, night out, you're gonna get some good guys rushing the edge, and you're battled every week. So see what you got.
And that's the thing here is just like, if you're gonna be an elite, I think, offensive lineman, and this is where I do think you'll start to see maybe those two conferences sort of separate themselves, and you wanna be prepared to go to the NFL, don't you kinda have to play in the Big 10 or the SEC?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I think edge rushers, fine. You can come from
yeah.
Texas Tech and Louisville or whatever else, but if you're talking about being a top 15, top 20 pick along the offensive line, hey, man, I gotta see you against Michigan, Ohio State, or against
Mhm.
Alabama or LSU.
Yep.
Like, it's just
Well, listen, that's why Iowa turns them out.
I would churn them out. It is what it is. And
They have a good one.
they got another big boy coming out,
I
who I'm excited about too. One of my favorites is Carter Smith, who ended up going back to Indiana. I think he might work himself into being a top 15 pick. I just like he's just nasty and ruthless. And I mean, he embodies sort of Kurt Signetti in a lot of different ways. And you already know, I think they're just going to start turning out NFL talent. Caden Green over at Missouri. I don't know if he necessarily projects as a blindside protector. Maybe he plays a little bit more right tackle. Maybe you can kick him inside the guard if you've got some tackle solutions when you draft him and then move him to left tackle or right tackle. I mean, the deck is stacked with both edge rushers and
Mhm.
offensive linemen next year. Look, I'm not like I said. I think you got to wait until you get to maybe November to
Yeah,
start
yeah.
saying
No,
classes are historically good because there's just too many things that can happen from injuries to just not developing. And also, like, we got different factors here, right? Like, these guys are already millionaires. You know what I mean? And
true.
so you just don't know how that impacts their development, their discipline, their work ethic, that sort of thing. Ryan Williams, for example, after his freshman year, I thought he'd be a top
Mhm.
5 pick, right? And now he's making TikToks with his, I think ain't he married?
I think
Or is this
so.
he's beyond?
I
He's 19, by the way.
Yeah, they told us he was 17 for every game his freshman
Like,
year, which
why are
drove me
you why are
crazy.
you married? Even if you're engaged, why are you engaged at 19? Why?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Why? Stop. Where are
That's
your
crazy.
parents?
He's gonna like, he's not projected the first round at all, but he's an interesting piece, interesting player this year. Because going to Alabama is interesting because Kalen DeBoer, your job is impossible.
You
Like,
can't. Yeah.
you can't win unless you win a title. You cannot win. So I don't know. I know I'm
They
a
extended
competitor.
him.
Yeah, I think that was one of those things where it's like, you know what, Kalen, we want to give you all the hope. We don't want you looking back and thinking, do y'all want me? And you know what? We're going to extend you right away because if you're at Alabama, you should win 10 games at least. But got a new quarterback,
Hey, man.
and we don't know what's going to happen. Lost some talent, so we're going to see. So I'm interested to see how Ryan Williams, responds to last season because wasn't very good.
He was not very good, and
Got a
I'm
case of the
just saying
drops.
he got a case of the drops. And this is what I'm gonna say about Alabama. We're getting a little off topic, but it's still about football, so it don't matter. This is their stretch of games from September 26th until November 7th. All right. This is probably why they extended him because he's gonna be looking for an NFL job by Thanksgiving. They host South
Mm,
Carolina on September 26th
that
at
was a close
Mississippi
game.
State. They're fighting Jeff Lebby's. That is not an easy game on October
Mhm.
10th at
Mhm.
Tennessee. They host Texas A&M the next week.
Mm.
Open week on Halloween, and then they go at LSU.
You gonna see. What was that? 5 games you just mentioned?
That's a what? That's a 6-game stretch.
That 6-game stretch.
And
But
that's
it's
after
it,
they
it's
host Florida State, by the way.
yeah. Florida State's on, Florida State's only hope is their ushering in a new quarterback. But and it's their first game, so everybody is brand new off the offseason. But it's 3-3. You're hoping for if you go 3-3, middle of October, November, or September, October. That's not good. Not Alabama. It's just not
Man,
good.
that
You better
thing
go
might.
4-2.
It's Alabama. You better go 5-1. I don't know how
Listen,
reasonable that is, but
so I don't know. I don't know.
at least you get Georgia at home.
Yeah,
But you got to play Georgia, then go and then turn around and play 112,000 people at Neyland Stadium.
that stadium be rocking, bro.
That I got to get there. That's one of the
Dog,
most
I
underrated.
went when Bryce Young, when the game winning field goal Tennessee had. That's
Oh
when
wow,
who was the receiver? Got drafted by the Giants. Hyatt went off. And it was as a defensive coach, it's pissing me off because all they ran was switch routes the entire game out of
that's all
20
Tennessee does.
personnel. They
It's the
ran
same play.
choice, switch, the whole game, and Alabama couldn't stop. I couldn't believe
No,
what I was seeing from
no.
an
And Nick,
Alabama coach team.
Nick
Nick
Saban was
Saban coach,
throwing up in his mouth.
bruh, and they couldn't stop it.
They
And
couldn't
Bryce,
stop it.
man, but yeah, that game was crazy. Rushed the field. I was on a recruiting visit with 2 of my guys, and I didn't get home till 1 o'clock because they wanted to rush the field and be in the locker room and stuff.
I
Peyton
love it.
Manning was in the locker room.
I love it.
Everybody smoking cigars. That was a cool experience.
I love it. Yeah, man. That's gonna be interesting. Alabama's gonna be. There's still tons of NFL talent on that roster,
Yeah.
obviously.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
like how they put that
They never
together
pissed on
and
the
how
quarterback.
that's it, right?
That's
And
it.
if he ends up being the second coming of Bryce Young, then they might finish the regular season 11-1. If not, then they might grind to 8-4 or 9-3. If you go 8-4 at Alabama now, you're getting fired. 10-2 is the bare minimum. Now, with that being
And I
said,
was about to say, it
now
depends who you lose.
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
Because
right.
if you go 10-2, you lose against Tennessee and LSU.
You okay.
Like
And you'll make the playoff.
You'll make the playoff. You will make
If
the playoff.
if you go 10-2 and lose to Georgia and Auburn, you might get fired.
Yeah.
I
Because you
don't envy.
can't. Georgia is your new rival, kinda. Georgia is more so a Georgia fans rival because Alabama don't see
Alabama don't think
Georgia's
about
rival.
Georgia.
They just don't. Yeah, they don't care about Georgia.
Not in the same call.
But yeah, but LSU is your biggest. So if you can beat them, your biggest rival, Tennessee is a really big. I didn't know how big a rivalry that was until I went to the game.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't know.
third
Like that's
Saturday
a
in
huge,
October, brother.
yeah, bro. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
they don't.
And
People at Alabama, Tennessee do not plan weddings for the
I
third
know,
weekend in
bro.
October.
It's crazy. If you lose 2, it better be against. I don't know.
Interesting. We're going off the rails here, but we got to follow this because I'm looking at. Has there ever been? This would be a good segue into Would You Rather, and then we'll come back to Holler Now. Very excited about 2027 class. You can read more about the mock draft and more insights into that over at the Substack, theall22.substack.com. Has there ever been a more anticipated regular season game than LSU going to Ole Miss on September 19th?
I can't wait. I can't wait. I was rooting for Ole Miss to win a national title just because I'm not a big like underdog guy. Like I want to see the elites play the elites, but I like what the quarterback was doing. Lane Kiffin, although he had like a real decision to make, I just hated that he had to. I just hated the timing.
Yeah.
Like he had to go, but I understood from his perspective. I just hated the timing. And I was just pulling for him. Lane, you left. Now we about to win one after you left. I wanted that to happen.
I did too.
But man, that is gonna be insane.
The lowest ticket into there right now. Because there is a part of me that's like,
You want to go?
but the thing is, so I'm black. We're both, so I can't go to Oxford by myself.
Yeah.
So there has to be someone who wants to go to this game with me and doesn't mind shelling out the money. And so that's going to be the challenge. Like anywhere else, I'd be like, oh, I might just do this by myself. I'm not going to Oxford, Mississippi by myself. Anyway, cheapest ticket is $460
right now
on May 7th. But that is going to be an experience.
Yeah,
that you tell
absolutely.
your grandkids about.
Bro, it's going to be similar to, you remember I think Lane Kiffin was there. They played Mississippi State, and the guy caught the touchdown. He fake peed on the in the end zone. It's going to be that rowdy, I think.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be an Egg Bowl experience.
Yo, they probably already calling in the National Guard and Mississippi and Louisiana State play. No law enforcement is off on Saturday, September 19th.
That better not be a 3:30 game. I need that to be a night game.
It's got to be 8 p.m.
Bro, it has to.
It's got to be. With good old Kirk and Chris Fowler.
Yep.
I need that. September 9th. If you out there, you think about proposing to your girl and we homies, don't you dare pick no wedding date of September 19th. I'm not coming.
No.
All right. Matter of fact, don't get married in the fall.
Just don't.
It's football season. You got 8 months to get married.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Cut it out.
Yeah. Fall is dead.
Fall is dead. Don't get married then. All right. Anyway, moving on from a legendary sort of week 3 matchup. LSU schedule crazy too. That's gonna be different. We got to crazy. Walking through some of the schedules and like the weekly joint because week 2 of this year in college football is insane. Have you seen this?
Nah. What is it?
I'm gonna preview this real quick. We'll talk about this in depth next week, good folks. But just so you know what you have a chance to look forward to. All right. Week 2. You get a little bit of primer because you got Alabama at Kentucky, which, okay, boo. Oklahoma at Michigan.
Okay. Ooh.
Tennessee and Georgia Tech.
Okay.
All right.
At Georgia Tech?
It's at Georgia Tech, at Bobby Dodd. They
might be a little, I'm not a Yankees fan, but it might be a little game I can kind of
pull up, man. Pull up. The return game, Ohio State and Texas.
Okay.
All right.
We go to Austin, right?
They go to Austin.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I think because it's at Texas, that'll probably be 8 p.m. I imagine ESPN will put that on ABC because last year it was at noon and had no business being at noon, thanks to Fox. You get a sneaky good joint with Arizona State and Texas A&M. I feel like you'd appreciate that. Oregon and Oklahoma State might be 70-59.
Oh,
Now Oregon's gonna win that,
yeah.
but you're gonna want that up on your tablet or your laptop for sure. And then an inevitable nightcap, Arizona at BYU,
Okay.
which would be a sneaky joint. During the day, probably at 3:30, you got Iowa State and Iowa. This is nuts.
Iowa State, Iowa week 2.
Yes. Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. This is all in week 2. And then you got Louisiana Tech at LSU, which is the primer to LSU going to Ole Miss.
Okay.
Great week of football. Week 2.
Yeah.
Missouri, Kansas. If you're looking for something at noon, all right, I'm done. Great week of football. Looking forward to seeing some of these guys in action in the fall. It's May. We're almost there. You know, we all addicted to that football, and I need some of it in my veins. So we started off the show talking about a sort of historical draft class that may or may not be in 2027. Shifting over to some guys who have long been out of the league, or some who maybe haven't been long out of the league. We're gonna play a little game of Hall or No. This game is inspired by Eli Manning's 2-bit tweet, which we primed last week, and folks were talking about, oh, he's got 2 rings and all this other stuff. He's better than Matt Ryan. He's not. He's not better than Matt Ryan. Eli Manning. Well, actually, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it. So we should just start it out.
Okay.
Hall or No, Eli Manning.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I know last week
he will get in. He will get
Why?
in. What is this? His third? Was it be his second or third ballot?
I think it's his third. When did he retire?
I think this is his third. Yeah, I think it's his third. But I don't. His career is the epitome of mediocre. But he had 2 great, I only say great postseason runs. He had 2 postseason runs where he didn't make mistakes. Put it like that. And him not making mistakes ended up winning him 2 championships. So imagine that. Your entire regular season career, you're at 500 because you made a lot of mistakes. And you had 2 runs where you like, you know what? I'm going to get it together. My defense is on fire. I'm going to just not make mistakes. And you win 2 Super Bowls. I don't think so.
Just a ton of bonehead plays. Look, we going to keep this nice and simple. Eli Manning? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. Hall or No.
Career 500 record. Higher interception rate.
Man.
No, it's over.
Like, it's over with. And
And
you know
this
what?
is our opinions, like you said. We know he's going to get in just because he's a Manning. And he beat Tom Brady twice.
Yeah, and you're right. And it's going to sadden me that he's in the Hall of Fame because it's cheapening it. It's cheapening it when you put a guy in because of his last name, like it is.
Yep. And I'm going, like, when I'm saying Hall or No, I'm going based off of, all right, who's gotten in?
Yeah.
Who should get in? Because there's a lot of guys on this list. I'm like, all right, this guy isn't in, so how are you going to be in? So
That's facts.
I think I'm going to play it like that.
That's facts. And that's good. I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna just go whether or not, if I had a vote.
If you had a vote,
would I ever vote for this person?
Gotcha.
Eli Manning?
No.
No. All right. Not happening. The next one is very interesting, I think. And a guy we don't talk enough about. Torrey Holt. Louis Rams, played a year his last year in Jacksonville. I'm gonna just read off sort of career statistics. He was the 6th overall pick, 1999, out of NC State. Goodness, these numbers are insane. 920 catches, 13,382 yards, 74 touchdowns. Right.
Consecutive seasons of
he had from the year 2000 to 2007. Every single one of those seasons was 1,000-yard season. Mind you, in a league, right? I think it's incredibly important, especially when we talk about wide receivers and quarterbacks. You played from 99 to 2009. You could still get hit going over the middle as a wideout when he played, right? You could still get a little tug of the jersey, and it not be automatically called pass interference. His 2003 year, 117 catches, 1,696 yards, 12 touchdowns. That's probably a 2,000-yard receiving season with today's rules. Torrey Holt, Hall.
You got him in
Sorry.
Hall?
I got him in the Hall.
You know what? I think so too. I think so too because we talked about this. If you were never an All-Pro, you don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. He was an All-Pro, first team All-Pro in 2003. He was second team All-Pro in 2006. 6 consecutive seasons of 1,300 yards or more.
It's
You
crazy.
mentioned, you said 74 touchdowns, 74, 78 total touchdowns. NFL 2000s all-decade team. And that's with the guy. He had another guy that was getting 1,000 receiving yards.
So Bruce?
He wasn't like, I don't want to call him, he was the one or the two. They were both ones, but Isaac Bruce was getting some of that. Marshall Faulk was getting some of that. So imagine if he was just the guy. He's probably having 1,800 to 2,000 yard seasons. Torrey Holt, book him in the Hall. He should be in there already.
I'm actually kind of flabbergasted as to how he's not more of a conversation around the Hall of Fame. I mean, especially at a time. I mean, I don't know. Was it because he played in St. Louis? Kurt Warner's in the Hall of Fame, who I actually don't have a problem with being in the Hall of Fame. Now, his peak is much shorter. Now, he got to the league later, having played in the Arena League and so on and so forth. I don't know, though, how you put that guy in the Hall of Fame and how you don't put his most prolific receiver in the Hall of Fame. And I can't quite put my finger on that. Torrey Holt's worst year, quote unquote worst, was his last year in the league with Jacksonville, and he still had 722 receiving yards and 51 catches. I mean,
what was the one before that? The year before that, what did he have?
The year before that, 64 catches, 796 yards. This is age 32 season. Before that, the year before that, 07, 93 catches, 1,189 yards. I mean, just a model
of consistency.
He
was
liability.
Mike Evans.
He was Mike Evans.
Was Mike Evans. So if Mike Evans has had, I think, every year but this past year because he was injured, 1,000 yards every year. He was Mike Evans, consistent.
You know what's funny is on Pro Football Reference, it says similar players over a career stretch. I'm going to go with the sort of 5-year stretch first. All right. Similar player. This is according to their sort of advanced metric stats, all that stuff. Randy Moss, CeeDee Lamb, Randy Moss, Hall of Famer. CeeDee Lamb, if he keeps his pace up, will be a Hall of Famer. Bob Hayes, Hall of Famer. A.J. Brown, Diva. Michael Thomas, Slant Man. Marvin Harrison, Hall of Famer. Julio Jones, future Hall of Famer. A.J. Green, future Hall of Famer. Lance Hallworth, Hall of Famer. Justin Jefferson, future Hall of Famer.
What are we talking about?
His peak is up there with how many guys who are going to be in the Hall of Fame are already there.
It just wasn't sexy. I think that's what it was. We didn't hear a word from him. I don't know, but then that kind of backfires when. Never mind. That's different. That's. I was going to mention a guy who I know they're not touching him in a Hall of Fame, but he's one of the best receivers. Who you think I'm talking about?
He's not touching the Hall of Fame, but he's one of the best receivers ever.
Not touching the Hall of Fame, but he rivaled Julio Jones during his peak. Antonio Brown.
Oh, he's not touching the Hall of Fame.
He's not touching. We know why he's not touching it. If we went straight off production, first ballot.
The numbers are there.
Numbers are there. If T.O. didn't go first ballot, Antonio Brown ain't sniffing it.
Oh, man. Dang. It's sad because now it's like, sad. Is this a... I mean, I know there are politics in all this, but here's an example of here's an example like reverse politics. If this guy would have been more of a flamboyant, flaunt diva,
that's what I'm saying.
Remember him differently, which is a little bit of a shame. Hey, Hall of Fame voters, put Torrey Holt in the Hall of Fame. All right.
I'm in there.
I got another one. This one ain't gonna be interesting. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one. Fred Taylor.
Freaky Fred. That's another one. It's another one. Wasn't flashy. And he played in Jacksonville almost his entire career. All he was a model of consistency. I think he had over 1,100 yards rushing. I don't know if we can look this up. When he retired, where did he rank? because I don't
Mm,
think a lot of guys have passed him since then. But when you get into I think he was almost 1,200 yards rushing. I think he should be in, man. Listen, I don't know if we talked about this. If if Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame, Fred Taylor should be in the Hall of
come on.
Fame. Terrell Davis had a great peak, but that peak was 3 years. What are we doing? Great peak. It just wasn't long enough.
It's gotta be some longevity requirement to get
It
into the Pro
has to
Football
be.
Hall of Fame.
It
Like,
can't be just longevity, but it has to be longevity. You have to make an all pro. You have to be seen as, all right, when I'm ranking the best running backs, I'm thinking about it. And although running back shelf life is shorter than other positions, maybe this guy played 9 years. But in those 9 years, he had 13, 14, 1,500 yards pretty much every single season. That's a Hall of Fame guy to me.
yeah, this one is tough for me
Yeah.
because I want to say Hall. I loved watching Fred Taylor play growing up. I love just the model of consistency, the bruising way in which he ran. And I remember these teams. Like there were times where I
Yeah.
was rooting for these teams as a kid, right? Like,
Mhm,
with Mark Brunell and Jimmy Smith
mhm.
and Keenan McCardell and Tom Clownfield's crazy self before he went to New York and kind of settled it down a little bit, got a little less plantation ownery. And then the Jaguars just had some cool uniforms, in my opinion, for late 90s and early 2000s. And so I watched a lot of Jaguars games. That said, my balance here and why this is hard is my general rule of thumb is that if you did not make at least one all pro team, you shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Fred Taylor never made an all pro team. Now, I have to continue with this though, because I do think there are exceptions. And honestly, I think one of the exceptions for him might just be he didn't make an all pro team because he played in Jacksonville. If Fred Taylor plays for the Jets, he makes an all pro team.
I think in the era, I don't think that's the only reason. And I thought he made one, but I may be wrong. But I think because he played in the era with LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk, Sean Alexander, Edgerrin James, these names, that's why he didn't make many All-Pro teams. Those guys that was the era of the running back. If you get a guy who rushes for Sean Alexander won the MVP, I think he rushed for 1,800 yards. I remember vividly, I don't know why, Ahmad Green Bay Packers rushing for 1,800 yards. So Fred Taylor didn't sniff 1,800 yards.
Yeah.
So he's not going to make an all-pro team over those guys, some guys like that. And we don't talk about LT enough.
We don't talk about LT
Bro,
enough.
like,
One of the greatest ever.
the-
And I'm sorry, I'm
one
lying. He made an all pro team in 2007. He was second team all pro in 2007.
one of the greatest one of the greatest running backs of all time. He probably made, I don't know, probably 5 all-pro teams during that span.
Based.
And he played in the AFC. Fred wasn't getting all-pro over him. So I think he wasn't the best. He wasn't the best running back of that era ever, but he was a
That's real.
model.
That's real. Look, LT was a 3-time first team all pro. And I
Okay.
go back to some of those other all pro teams, and it's pretty crazy. In 2007, which was the year that Fred Taylor was second team all pro, the running back, LaDainian Tomlinson and Brian Westbrook were first team all pro. Rookie Adrian Peterson, Willie
Mhm.
Fast Parker, and Fred Taylor
Parker.
were
They had
second
3,
all pros. Yeah,
then they
man.
had 3 running backs.
Which is crazy.
Crazy.
Braylon Edwards made an all pro team.
I did not know that. Bruh, there was Michigan State. Where'd he
Michigan.
go? Michigan. That's right.
Michigan.
Michigan. I remember the catching it. Bro, see, that's peak college football time. Because I just remember a catch in the corner of the end zone on the ESPN commercial. Like I vividly remember.
With the Cleveland Brown AP second team all pro, Braylon Edwards. Hey, God bless you, good brother. Fred Taylor, yeah, was AP second team. I guess there are two. There's the pro football writers, and then there's the all pros.
Actually, the AP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
so
going by AP.
we're going by AP.
Yeah.
We're going by AP. No offense to Braylon Edwards. I'm sure you're a great young man. I gotta make a decision here, huh?
Hey, man, what you got?
I like my guy, but nah.
Hey, I'm not mad at it, man. After reading that list of guys, I'm like, at the end of the day, you had to be a top guy at your position during your era. It's
Yeah.
not the all of very good. So
Yeah.
you're making me want to change. I think I just like
And that's
Fred
a tough
Taylor.
one. I like Fred Taylor. That's a tough one. Now, I'll say this, though. Because Terrell Davis is in, Fred Taylor should be in.
Yes.
Now, if I had my way, I would take Terrell Davis out. Or he would have
Yeah.
never got in. It's not because I don't
Yeah.
like Terrell Davis, to be clear. It's for all you
Yes.
newcomers. It's just the peak is just too short.
It's too short, bro.
The peak is way too short. So I got to go gnaw on my man, Fred Taylor. Let's go over to the defensive side of the ball a little bit, see what you think about here. Which I'm kind of shocked because every time I run into a 90s Cowboys person, I just feel like everyone on those teams is a Hall of Famer because,
Mhm.
they all parlayed the Winter White House and everything else that came with playing for the Cowboys in the 90s into money. But the one guy who was not in the Hall of Fame, who at least you got to have the conversation with, I think, Darren Woodson, defensive back, played safety on those all-world Cowboys teams, 12 years in the NFL. Now, I'm going to undoubtedly sort of show my hand on this because that's just kind of how it is. 3 straight first-team All-Pros, 95,
Yeah.
96. Those years are Super Bowl years. I don't understand how he's
Bro, more first team
but
All Pros than John Lynch, Steve Atwater, Leroy Butler. How is he not in? And like you said, 94, 95, 96, 98, All Pro. He's the quarterback of those defenses. So like without him, they don't win those Super Bowls likely.
nah.
He still is the all-time leading tackler in Cowboys history.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy, right? So that puts in perspective of the tenure he had within that organization. Because we've seen some good Cowboys defenders, but they don't stay 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I don't understand this one.
I'm like, does he know where the bodies are? And like, he's been around. He's been on ESPN. Like,
Yeah, like
he was been a commentator for a while, so clearly he ain't got enough dirt for him not to be on TV. Like, I don't understand. At the safety position,
at the same
967 combined tackles.
yeah. I guess because I don't know, he didn't get interceptions. I don't know.
23 career interceptions. So maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it, but I don't
And wasn't
know.
a whole lot of guys, I'm sure, throwing his way. Now, for a few years, he had Dion on one side, kind of shutting it down. But 3-time first team All Pro, 3 years in a row, back to back, 12 years in the
That's
league,
crazy.
all with one team.
Yeah.
What y'all
That's hard.
doing?
It's hard to argue with. I think it should be in. Yeah,
What
I
y'all
think it should
doing?
straight Hall. I
Man,
think
what's in the Hall of Fame?
that's the easiest one to me
That's the easy
that we
one. Put Darren Woodson Hall of Fame. All right, last one. I'm gonna give it. Now, this one is tough. This one is a little bit tougher. Sterling Sharp. Now, his brother is in the Hall of Fame, deservedly so. He's a little bit of a nutcase now, of course. Sterling Sharp, incredibly short career due to injuries, but 7 years in the league. All right, a total of 595 catches, 8,134 yards, and 65 touchdowns. All 7 years with the Green Bay Packers. You and I know a lot about Sterling Sharp, obviously because we love football. 1, 2, what people don't be understanding or what doesn't get highlighted enough for me is all these highlights we see of Brett Favre throwing touchdowns. Hey, man, you know who on the other side of a lot of those early in his career? I'm just saying. But this one is tough. His peak year, 1992, 108 catches, 1,461 yards, 13 touchdowns. Again, when you could still hit wide receivers. All right. I'll cap it off with 3-time first team All Pro, even in those 7 years. Okay. And at wide receiver, he finished 4th in MVP voting in 92, 8th in MVP voting in 93. At wide receiver. What you think, man?
I think people forget that this happened. In the league that featured Jerry Rice, he led the league in catches. during Jerry Rice's prime. So, yeah, he's definitely Hall. Got in. It took too long, but yeah.
It took way too
It
long.
it took way too long, but he got in, and it was one of the biggest snubs, and we have a lot more snubs, but so here's the thing we talked about Terrell Davis. We're talking about 3 years, 7 years. I think let's double the sample size. Come on.
Yeah.
And if you were an elite player for those 7 years, now we're talking like, okay, that's completely different than, you know what? You get drafted, you do win 2 Super Bowls, and maybe that's what got him over the hump to some of these voters, but come on, 3 years just not enough.
3
The
years.
man was elite and one of the best receivers in the league during his span.
Beast.
For longer than 3 years.
Beast.
Yeah.
Crazy numbers. At a time where you can still hit quarterbacks. Last one, Terrell Davis.
Nah, there's no disrespect to TD.
No
It's just not
disrespect to TD.
the Hall of Very Good. You gotta have some longevity if we're talking about Hall of Fame. Like NBA, the Basketball Hall of Fame, all they
Hall of
care
Very
about is
Good. Hall of
they
Very
just
Good.
care about longevity.
Yeah.
They don't care about MVPs and things. If you win one MVP, you're basically a Hall of Famer in the NBA. Derrick Rose is going to get in, and he had two years of his peak.
That's it.
Again, no disrespect to Derrick Rose, but what are we doing? Players like Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter, and like, what are we doing? It's not. Don't make the NFL the Hall of Very Good.
No.
If you were elite, you're a top 2 at your position for multiple years, year in and year out, you're a Hall of Famer.
That's it.
If you're a skill position player, who cares if you won a ring or not? It doesn't matter. Quarterbacks, it only matters for the quarterback.
That's it. No one else controls enough of the game for that to matter.
Nope.
Anyway, take Terrell Davis out. I'm glad Sterling Sharp finally got in there. Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer.
Not a Hall of Famer.
Not in this lifetime or the next.
He's going to get in next year, watch. I don't know. Depends on who's on the ballot.
If Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer, Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer.
True.
I'm just saying. Hey, we're gonna push we'll do Would You Rather next week when we dive more into some college football, some scheduling stuff. We'll talk about a little spring game. Spring game fever is in the air. We'll talk about a little NIL. Trinidad Chambliss is back at Ole Miss for I think his 6th year of college football.
Yeah. Bro, if it was NIL when I was playing, I would have played 6 years.
I ain't mad at him. Why not? What you in a rush to go do? You an adult?
A rush to go possibly lead an NFL billion-dollar franchise?
Yeah, I'm straight.
I'm good. Let me get another year making $4 or $5 million. Be a third rounder. That's probably my total contract over 4 years. I'm straight.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah, Dante Moore went back to Eugene for a reason.
Yep.
All right. God bless this man. Hey, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If you like what you hear. If you don't, you know what you are.
We just gonna clip that big face hater.
Big face hater.
Clip the you know how the
I'll tell you
who does it?
Big face.